Stombaugh, who is the owner of Tim's Custom Exhaust. He's got a large and rather illustrious history in the automotive field, and I thought it best to do this because he's what I know, and I consider him to be a great mentor and my old man in most respects. So ignore the hunting jacket, and I guess we'll get on to it. So, first question, what are the relevant qualifications required for your job?
Well, to have some experience, but mainly a serious interest in the things that you are required to do on a daily basis. That's the most important thing. If you're really into it, and you have the aptitude, you'll do well.
That's good. What sparked off your interest in cars?
Well, it was mainly a matter of the creative process, because what I do is largely a creative pursuit, and welding was the springboard for the whole deal, because you can do so many things if you know how to weld, and that came to my attention when I was at the ripe old age of 4. So that was the big thing. That's what got me into it, I have to say.
Okay. What are the main duties of your position then as a shop owner?
Making sure that customers are happy with what I do. Fixing cars, sure. Taking care of the equipment and the facility that allows me to fix those cars. But, I would say the first thing is to make sure that the people that you are doing work for are delighted with what your results are.
What are some of the diagnosis and repair areas you're experienced in?
Well, I have a lot of experience in diagnosing all kinds of things, early on in my career it had a lot to do with diagnosing braking systems. Later on, when computers started being a bigger part of things, there was some computer diagnostics and so forth. I've gravitated towards the low-tech part of things that, at least in my particular interest, are never really going to go away. The exhaust part of things, which ties back into the welding aspect of what I do.
Okay. So once you've made assessments on an automobile, what is your next step?
Well, to figure out repair options for people, based on how important, first off, it is to their safety, and second off, how it fits in with their fiscal situation, and then advising based on those criterion.
So what skills do you believe an automotive technician needs to be successful at his job? What skills does he need to have? Nice typo.
Proficiency is a big deal, but honesty is at least that big, because the perception is that mechanics are only interested in the money that they can make if a car is in need of repair. But I think proficiency and honesty, candor, are the two biggest things.
So before you hand over a repaired vehicle to a customer, what do you do to ensure that the vehicle works properly?
The main thing is to drive it yourself so that you can look them in the eye and say, I have driven the car and I know that the repair is sound.
I suppose that would suck to drive away and then hear it again and have them come back.
It happens.
It does. Do you have any certifications, and are they required for your job?
I don't have any certifications. They are not required for my job because I own the shop. That said, certifications in honesty don't exist that I know of. And I've had several ASE Master Techs in my employ over the years that I wouldn't let work on my lawnmower. Some of the best techs are less technically qualified, don't have ASE certifications. But I think that in general an ASE certification is a good thing. I've just never seen fit to acquire any of them myself, but I've spent a really lot of time in classes for ABS and drivability and so on. Yeah.
Things that like Napa had offered or what have you?
Yes. Yeah, a lot through vendors. Yep. A very good resource for training.
How often do you do that?
Well, anymore, I haven't done it in a really long time. I used to do it 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Okay. What do you find most challenging while fixing a problem? I mean, just generally.
Interesting question. What do I find? Getting your head right as far as what does the customer really want, and making sure that what he wants and what he needs are the same thing. Reconciling that can be a little bit hard because a lot of times there's misinformation out there via the internet and social media, and just getting a person to where they really need to be can take time, but it's worth it in the end.
What do you do to make sure your vehicle inspection is comprehensive?
Well, I have designed a couple of vehicle inspection sheets that are not confusing to the layman, that give the vehicle owner a pretty comprehensive overview of what the vehicle is about at the time that they bring it in, and making sure that they understand that maybe they brought it in because a turn signal wasn't working, but the fact of the matter is they were low on transmission fluid, and that's more critical. And so making sure that people have a comprehensive overview of the safety features and the things that are germane to the overall long-term health of their vehicle. These are things that I think are really vital.
Like, I guess that really came in handy. Like that one time we worked on that Ford truck that he came in for an exhaust leak, and it turns out he had a dead hole or something.
Right. Yeah. Good example. Good example there. And if we would have fixed his exhaust leak instead of his valves or whatever it was that was causing the dead miss, that would have been a disservice. Yeah. Yep. And in the short term, that can cost you some money because you're not going to fix that exhaust leak, and maybe they'll junk the vehicle. But in the long term, they will know that you had their best interest at heart. And so the honesty and proficiency thing comes into play there, that's for sure.
And I suppose you like to communicate that directly to the customer.
Yeah, there's really no other way, and people might not want to hear the bad news, but they need to regardless.
Yeah. But you do that on pretty much a daily basis.
As
car
often,
by car.
Yep.
And you like to do exhaust work the best, so I guess I'll switch that over, unless there's some hidden treasure that you've been keeping from me all these years.
No. No, exhaust is fun because then the ear, the eye, and the motor are satisfied, and I like that.
What's the worst repair experience you've ever had? I knew you're gonna have some good ones for this one. I know.
Yeah, boy, the worst repair experience I've ever had. I don't know. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I can't even answer that. I guess suffice it to say that the worst nightmare you've ever had would be about a dream come true compared to the worst experience I've had fixing cars. I've worked on many thousands of cars, and most of the time it went well, and then there were other times. Yeah. The main thing is to be honest about how things went. That's the big deal.
Yeah. So do you get paid on flat rate, straight time, or commission? I mean, when you're working on vehicles personally?
Generally a flat rate.
Pretty easy to quote then at that point, I suppose.
Yes, and then there are jobs that are so far outside of the norm that you can't really quote a flat rate on it because you're sailing through uncharted waters.
Like manifold, like stud extraction and things like that.
Yeah, things that it's hard to say how long they'll take, but there's an average that you can give.
Yeah. So you started doing exhaust in the early 70s?
Yeah, 1976.
Oh, I guess that'd be late. But...
Yep.
And you first started a CarX?
That was a Midas muffler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at that time CarX didn't exist.
When did CarX start?
That would be about 1978.
Uh-huh. What were your experiences at Midas?
Well, I started out as a parts runner, and then I begged them to allow me to do warranty work so I would have some experience fixing cars. And then graduated to an installer, and then expanded into some more technical things, and worked my way up the ladder till shop owner.
Kind of a long haul, huh?
Yeah, there were a lot of rungs on that ladder, but every one of them had a lot of value. Mm-hmm.
What kept you going? I mean, through all the years.
Just that there always seemed to be an element of creativity that served me and my customers well, and I never have gotten tired of that.
Yeah, it's always a good thing seeing other people happy, I suppose.
You bet.
Especially when it's something you did. I mean, it's all you can show them this, and this brings them happiness. This is what you made.
Or if it's somebody that I trained to do it and they did it well, and they compliment that person in a way, it's a compliment to me as well because I showed that person how to do what it is they do.
It's kind of like Kung Fu, really. The students or the pupils will continue to impress customers or what have you through the master.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. That's all the questions I have. Unless you want to give some advice to young techs or what have you starting off in the industry.
Don't be afraid to go up the ladder and be patient. If you do your best, the industry will serve you well. It has served me well. I'm glad I got into it. I've been fortunate and blessed to be in it, and I couldn't have imagined having done anything else. I love it. It's fun, and it's been more than enough for me.
I take it you're probably going to do this until the day you can't.
Yeah. I think maybe the day I can't was a few years ago, but I've kept on regardless.
Well, all right. Well, everyone, this is Tim Stombaugh, owner of Tim's Custom Exhaust, and I'm here at Bilmekaniker. And hope y'all take it to heart and learn from a true professional and a master and carry on.